Strange Immortal Martial Arts. Starting from the Proficiency of Liver Weapons Introduction. www.zhaoshuyuan.com Mastering White Equipment Deer Tendon Bow, Obtaining White Special Effects, Strong. Grasp the Green Equipment Black Iron Fist Set, Obtain Green Special Effects, and Penetrate Chi and Blood. Mastering Blue Bear Leather Shoes, Obtaining Blue Special Effects, Agility. Mastering the Golden Legend Thunderbolt on the Wooden Disc, Obtaining the Golden Special Effect and the Innate Thunder Body. Su Hao travels through the eerie world of demons and obtains 9 https://www.zhaoshuyuan.com. 1-9. Story Road Tower. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. What are you saying about fishing for? Fishing for a long-haired female corpse and killing yourself, right? You left, but what should I do? Su Hao, who had crossed over, ran wildly while turning his head to look at the rolling Blackwater River behind him. He was afraid that the long-haired evil that had killed the original owner would reappear, so he sent him a long shot. He's just a student. As Su Hao continued to run towards him, his memory also grew more and more in his mind. He traveled as a young man from West Village outside Qingshan County, and his family made a living by fishing. My mother died in difficult childbirth, and my father was infected with a cold and left last month. He was left poor and weak, and was bullied. Even a broken fishing boat that he relied on for a living was robbed by the village's mischievous Jia Gui with his father's IOU, and he even inexplicably owed 10 taels of debt. As a last resort, the original owner had to bring old fishing gear to Heishui River to resume his old business and fish for a bite of meat. As the saying goes, a fisherman never loses his air power. The original owner spent most of the night fishing and unexpectedly caught a long-haired female corpse from the Blackwater River, without any eyeballs and swollen all over her body. Her long hair wrapped around her as if she had come to life, and then it turned black in front of him, and he crossed over. Why not travel through time and become a wealthy man with a group of wives and concubines? In this eerie feudal ancient world, how can a poor commoner survive? Su Hao shouted in his heart. The world of this feudal ancient dynasty is really nonsense. At the end of the dynasty, various forces emerged together to exploit the people. In one sentence, the people were not treated as human beings. Ordinary people are only worthy of obtaining the lowest survival material. For example, in this small Qingshan County, profitable transactions are dominated by aristocratic gangs. Once there is a good job, it is guaranteed that the door will change the next day. Anyone who resists will become a cold corpse in the sewer that night. Don't mention making perfume, glass and soap. Even beggars have to pay money to the sect to beg, otherwise they are not qualified to beg. Even fishermen like him from outside the county need to pay a head tax to the Green Snake Gang every month, otherwise they will receive a beating and kicking. It's better to say that with his modern insight, he will never starve to death, and even have the chance to become a master. But this is weird, and his mother can deal with it. Su Hao ran to a hill and finally stopped after confirming that there was already some distance from the Heishui River. It's not that he doesn't want to continue running, but his stomach is also empty, and with the hurried action of crossing over, he no longer has the strength. Moreover, it is still night now, and there are evil spirits in the Heishui River. If you walk around recklessly, what if you encounter wild animals or even other evil spirits in the mountains and fields? What should we do next? Su Hao, who had stopped, frantically searched for memories in his mind, hoping to find a way out. In feudal society, class was already fixed, and it was too difficult for ordinary people to turn over and become upper-class people. Reading can be a way out, although it is difficult. With his spirit of simulating the college entrance examination for 3 years and 5 years, it is not difficult to become a scholar and a scholar. Life can also be stable, but can reading resist evil and eerie? Su Hao shook his head and denied. I am not strong enough, even if I have solved my basic needs through reading, I will still die if I encounter evil and eerie things. So you have to learn martial arts. Another way out came to Su Hao's mind. Warriors are a group of powerful individuals who stand at the top and belong to the absolute ruling class. For example, in Qingshan County, major gangs and aristocratic families worship warriors and give them enough respect. Even the county magistrate of Qingshan County dare not easily offend a warrior. And there is also a special weapon in this world, which is made of special materials, and after being nurtured by the warrior's qi and blood, it will give birth to a variety of abilities. These abilities can not only shatter gold and stones, but even cut out sword sparks. A warrior has a weapon with ability and a weapon without ability, which are completely two extremes. A weapon with ability can completely crush a warrior of the same level. If you become a warrior, you can become a master. By then, not only can you live a good life, but you can also listen to music and listen to groups of wives and concubines. Even if a warrior cannot resist the evil and eerie, they will definitely escape faster than they do now. Su Hao had an idea in his mind, which was to learn martial arts. But the more he associates information about warriors and weapons, the more familiar he feels. This is somewhat similar to the eerie games he played in college, both of which have special effects weapons, and even after killing the evil spirits and monsters, he can use the materials of the evil spirits and monsters to make more powerful special effects weapons. In particular, there is also sacrificial refining, which uses various special materials to enhance and refine special effects weapons into spiritual artifacts, even immortal artifacts, and so on. It should just be similar, after all, it's a game, this is a real world. Su Hao shook his head, feeling that his body had slightly regained its strength, he immediately stood up. A gentleman does not stand under a dangerous wall, leave here first. At the moment he stood up, Su Hao felt the discomfort on his body. He looked down and realized that there were still many broken long hair on his body. These long hair were left behind by the female corpse of Heishui River after killing the original owner, and even now they still emit a hint of coldness. Su Hao quickly pulled away with his hands, fearing that these were the last moves or positioning left by the long-haired female corpse. What if he followed and chased after them based on this? Touching negative energy. Successful illegal crossing, 9-story Avenue Tower, first floor opened. As Su Hao pulled away his long hair with his hands, a warning sound came to his mind, followed by a crystal-clear 9-story pagoda appearing in his head. Su Hao looked at the 9-story Avenue Tower that appeared and was momentarily stunned. Isn't this the strongest treasure in that eerie fairy tale game that can be called the Emperor? When he was in college, he played a strange fairy tale game with the main goal of being a player's own, which included various martial arts and weapons. And the Dadao Pagoda is the strongest treasure, which can dominate the immortal and martial worlds, but after playing for a long time, he has never heard of anyone getting it. Su Hao didn't expect that he had traveled and brought the ultimate treasure of the game. Is this the opportunity for my rise? Su Hao looked happy. He immediately sank his mind to examine. 9-story Avenue Tower, the 9 universes are condensed. Due to touching negative energy, it has overflowed. Now, the first avenue, the weapon path, is opened. Soldier Dao, seize and kill. Control the weapon. As long as you control it, you will gradually gain the experience or achievements of the previous owner of this weapon, and even have its exclusive special effects ability. Note that similar special effects can be integrated, Bing Dao, wielding weapons. That means if I obtain someone else's weapon, I can obtain the exclusive special effects ability on the weapon. It is indeed related to the description. Su Hao felt ecstatic in his heart. A special effect of a weapon may not be able to combat evil and eerie, but weapons have a variety of abilities. What if you gather all the special effect abilities on zhaozuiyuan.com? Is there always a special effect ability that can counter evil and eerie? Moreover, if there is spiritual energy or immortal artifacts, once wielded, not to mention the evil long-haired female corpse, it is even more eerie and will become his sacrificial material. Su Hao clenched his fist. Even if he wields more weapons with the 9-story Avenue Tower, he can soar to the sky with one step, and it is not impossible for him to live forever. The more Su Hao thought, the hotter his heart became. The 9-story Avenue Pagoda is truly the strongest treasure. The military channels are so powerful, so how powerful would the 9-story tower, which gathers 9 main roads, be once all are opened? Dictatorship will last forever. Su Hao restrained his inner restlessness and immediately checked the requirements of the 9-story Avenue Tower. Soon, Su Hao frowned. The saying goes, if there is positive, there is negative. Opening the 9-story Avenue Tower is very simple, which is to wield more weapons and absorb the negative energy of evil and eerie to stimulate the revival of the avenue. Su Hao glanced at the energy progress slot below the 9-story Avenue Tower that indicated the need to open the avenue, and immediately felt immense pressure. The slot is too long. He doesn't even have the courage to face the long-haired female corpse again, let alone kill evil and eerie now. Forget it, I stuttered through my meal and walked step by step. I can't deal with the long-haired female corpse now, but that doesn't mean I won't be able to do it in the future. As long as I rely on my military skills and collect enough special effects, I will eliminate all the evil and eerie things and open all the avenues of the 9-story Avenue Tower. It's not a dream. Su Hao's mood suddenly brightened. If Su Hao had been nervous, lost, and even fearful before, then now he has a glimmer of anticipation. Perhaps in this world, he can make a difference. 2. Special Effects Weapon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the beginning of everything is difficult, now we lack a weapon of ability. Go buy it, even if you spend all your money, you have to buy a handle. You have to become a warrior, you have to become a master. Su Hao clenched his fist. He only needs to obtain a weapon now, and he can strengthen himself by wielding it. Once he is strong, he can become a warrior and his status will skyrocket. Not only can he earn a lot of money to purchase special effects weapons, but he can also purchase divine weapon items on the weapon list. With these things, he can take the initiative to hunt down evil and eerie creatures, thus opening up the remaining avenues of the 9-story pagoda. Su Hao looked up at the gradually brightening sky, grinned, and collected the short hair of the evil long-haired female corpse, storing it in the 9th-floor tower. At least this was just a result of our predecessors' efforts to fight against evil, and we can't just waste it like this. Maybe it will be useful in the future. Or if he becomes stronger in the future, he can use this to find the location of the long-haired female corpse, and then kill it. While gaining energy, it can also be considered as revenge for the original owner. Su Hao looked around and made sure there were no omissions before getting up and leaving. Little long-haired female corpse, let you rest here first. Wait for it to become the nourishment of my Avenue Tower. Su Hao followed his memory and quickly rushed to the shantytown of Shitsuan in the west of Qingshan County. In Su Hao's memory, his home is located in a corner of Shitsuan. Su Hao arrived at the old house, took out the key from his body, opened the thick wooden door, and went straight to the firewood room behind him. Su Hao lifted the dust and escaped a box from inside. He then blew the dust on top and took out a piece of fish jerky and a few large cakes of dry food inside. Su Hao didn't care about the fishy smell of the dried fish, so he grabbed the nearby tank of water and suddenly stuffed it into his mouth. Tired and hungry, everything he eats now feels delicious. After eating the original owner's food for 3 days in a row, Su Hao felt like he had come back to life. This is the feeling of being full. Su Hao sighed. In Blue Star, even if he did poorly, he never starved like this. Just as he traveled through, he experienced the attack of a long-haired female corpse, and reality made him experience the extreme hunger and fatigue. He swore never to experience this feeling again in the future. It's too uncomfortable. Now go to Qingshan County to buy special effects weapons and see what effect it will have after taking control. After feeling full, Su Hao went to a corner of the kitchen, flipped open a stone, and then took out a few broken silver pieces and a dozen copper coins from inside. A total of 22,018 copper coins. This is all Su Hao currently has, and he still needs to leave 1 or 2 silver to pay the autumn taxes. If deducted, there won't be much left. That's just a little bit. I remember any warrior's special effects weapon costs several taels of silver. And it's also the most ordinary sharp special effects. Damn Jia Gui, if it weren't for fabricating a promissory note to snatch away my small wooden boat, I could have exchanged at least 3 to 4 taels of silver now, so that I could exchange it for a warrior's blade and corresponding martial arts to master and practice. Su Hao clenched his fist. The family originally had some assets, but when Pupi Jia Gui saw that the original owner was young and helpless, he gathered a few people to grab a promissory note for Sheng. He was also limited to handing over 10 taels in 1 month, otherwise he would have to look good. The dilapidated house has a property deed, and if you rob it, you have to go to the yamen to transfer it, which is very troublesome. Small boats and other property cannot be claimed by the yamen, and entering the yamen in this era without strength and background will only make the losses of seeking justice even greater. This is also one of the reasons why the mischievous Jia Gui is carefree. Su Hao let out a sigh. Now he can't do anything about the tall and sturdy mischievous Jia Gui, but when he has the strength, he will definitely vent his anger. Su Hao searched in his mind whether there were any valuable items in the original owner's house, and if there were, they were all sold together. Now as long as he has weapons to take charge, it is a good start. The beginning of everything is difficult. By the way, Su Hao searched for the memories of the original owner in his mind, and soon he thought of something that was ancient and unused. Most of the people in Qingshan County rely on mountains and water for their livelihoods. Before purchasing a set of fishing gear to catch fish, the original owner's family relied on the deep mountains behind Qingshan County to make a living, especially with a skilled hunter from the ancestors of the original owner. It is the accumulation of this hunter that has allowed the Su family to continue to this day. He is a hunter, and naturally passed down hunting tools. He has a bow left by that powerful hunter in his home. But using a bow is conditional, not everyone can easily use it, it requires extreme strength, and talent. And talent cannot be inherited at all. In addition, being a hunter in the mountains is more dangerous than fishing, so after having the money to buy fishing gear and boats, the Su family also gave up hunting in the mountains. Although the longbow has been inherited, no one has ever used it again. If it were a bow, it should be able to sell for quite a bit of money. It would be even better if it were a special effects weapon. Su Hao looked delighted. He quickly followed his memory and walked into the old wooden and earthen wall bedroom, digging out a box under the bed that still had some decaying wood. Su Hao lowered himself and quickly opened it. In an instant, a long bow covered in dust came into sight. It was dusty and covered with a lot of dust. Su Hao was instantly shocked, because on the dusty long bow, he saw a faint white light emanating from it. What is this? Equipment. Su Hao, who has played games, naturally knows what colors the game equipment emits. Zhaoshuyuan.com However, in ancient feudal society, how could weapons appear in various colors like playing games? Is it because of the 9-story Dao Tower Soldier Dao? Su Hao thought of the possibility and quickly reached out to pick up the long bow. The 1.35-meter long bow is made of unknown wood, and even after years of erosion, it still looks very tough. Moreover, the bowstring seems to be made of some kind of animal tendon through special polishing, and it still has huge elasticity to this day. Is it in charge, white equipment, deer tendon bow? After encountering the longbow, Su Hao immediately felt the hint given by the 9-story pagoda in his mind, and then thought to himself that it was indeed true. Originally, this deer tendon bow had no radiance all over its body, and even had a layer of dust to cover it. However, due to the presence of a military weapon, a white halo flickered above it. And this military strategy is quite user-friendly, it feels like playing a game, even revealing the level. Take control. Su Hao did not hesitate to choose to take charge. Su Hao originally wanted to go to Xianxia County to buy special effects weapons for warriors, but now that he has ready-made ones, he wants to see what the effects will be after taking control. The breath of the abyss dissipated from the 9-story tower, and soon a phantom of a bow and arrow appeared on the first floor of the tower. Immediately after, the information of the deer tendon bow was presented. Deer tendon bow, white and ordinary, has undergone maintenance and sweat training by many people, and has mastered 0%. Dominating effect, proficient in archery, hunting experience. Dominating overflowing special effects, white quality, strong, original owner, Su Qingshan, special effects ability, this is actually a special effects weapon. New book seeking recommendations, investments, rewards, and follow-up reading. 3. Passive, strong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Su Hao looked at the information presented by the 9-story pagoda and was immediately delighted. He originally planned to spend a huge amount of money to purchase a special effects weapon closely related to warriors, and earn some money by relying on the special effects to meet his basic needs before learning martial arts. As a result, the original owner's home actually had a special effect weapon, and it was also a long bow. If you use a long bow, you can become a hunter and go hunting. This directly solves Su Hao's future life troubles. At least, he doesn't have to worry about food and doesn't have to go hungry. And once good goods are hunted, they can be sold for a lot of money. With money, Su Hao can go to Qingshan County to learn martial arts and even purchase more special effects weapons for warriors. In this cycle, a beautiful future seems to be right in front of us. Su Hao took a deep breath and quickly turned his gaze to the 9-story pagoda in his mind, taking a closer look. As a special effects weapon, the deer tendon bow not only has 2 other auxiliary effects when in control, but also has a strong special effect. As long as you take charge, not only can you become proficient in archery and have shooting experience, but you can also be strong. Think about it, if you're not strong, how can you handle bows and arrows? Only when you are strong can you control bows and arrows, and achieve 100 steps of success. However, Su Hao was amazed by the power of the first layer of the 9-story tower's military path, which turned the original prerequisite into an unnecessary and insufficient condition. Surprisingly, it is possible to reverse it and obtain the necessary prerequisites after being in charge. Su Hao took a deep breath, and after he took control, he felt a hint of abyssal and empty energy emanating from the weapon path of the 9-story tower. Immediately after, many bonuses swept through, and he felt like he had become an old hunter in an instant. A seasoned hunter with hunting experience. So powerful, it said that the special effects of weapons follow their owners. Once they change owners, the special effects may become ineffective. Only the special effects of the weapon itself can continue, but in my hands, I have brought them all. Su Hao sighed in his heart. This is just an ordinary equipment with a glimmer of white light. What if they wield stronger weapons? Even learning martial arts with a warrior's weapon may have a significant effect. Su Hao held the deer tendon bow and glanced at the remaining arrows in the old wooden box. He picked them up directly. Now that I have only mastered the deer tendon bow, and the mastery is only 0%, the next step is to completely control this deer tendon bow and then attribute the special effects to myself. Su Hao was envious of the special effects on the deer tendon bow. He is already physically weak, and if he becomes strong, even if he loses the deer tendon bow in the future, he can easily exchange it for another bow. And in the future, learning martial arts and being strong is also a good start. I'm about to rise. Su Hao clenched his fist. The beginning of everything is difficult, but now he has made a good start. The next step is to practice and take control. Su Hao waved his deer tendon bow and shook off the dust on it. Then he placed a few slightly decaying arrows and pulled the bow to shoot. With a focused expression. Arrows arrive, hands arrive, heart says. With a swoosh, the arrow shot out quickly, crossing a distance and steadily hitting within the red heart circle drawn by Su Hao. This is his first time getting started, and he actually hit a 10 ring. Not to mention taking 100 steps to achieve success, the difference is not much. If he had shot several times and combined it with the bonus of military skills, Su Hao felt that he would not be too far away from the moment when he went hunting. Hunting a wild boar will bring a month's worth of life. Archery Proficiency +1. Su Hao was about to cheer for his 10 rings when the sudden sound of a warning from the 9th floor pagoda stunned him. Proficiency. Su Hao, who had played the game, immediately understood and devoted his consciousness to the 9-story pagoda. He suddenly realized that there was already a virtual archery pattern inside the first layer of the 9-story pagoda. This is like playing a game interface. Archery, beginner 1 out of 100, can we still do this? Su Hao was overjoyed when he saw the display on the tower floor of the avenue. Practicing archery will increase proficiency, as shooting more will naturally lead to proficiency. However, Su Hao did not expect that the 9-story pagoda on the avenue would actually materialize it. For example, now, after shooting 1 arrow, his proficiency has improved a bit, which means that by shooting another 100 arrows, he can completely get started. The only thing that made Su Hao unhappy was that the progress of using the deer tendon bow did not improve, and it still maintained a 0% progress. Is it necessary to improve archery to perfection before fully mastering the deer tendon bow and obtaining special effects? Su Hao sank his mind and began shooting arrows inside the dilapidated house. With prompts similar to the proficiency panel, Su Hao also received the blessing of the military path, and his enthusiasm for cultivation became high. This visible improvement is truly unforgettable. Su Hao practiced extremely seriously. After all, this is a guy who eats. If he doesn't practice well, he may go hungry and even have no money to buy martial arts secrets and weapons to become a martial artist. Fortunately, Su Hao's proficiency in archery and additional shooting experience allowed him to gradually master archery. Archery, beginner 61 out of 100, with Su Hao constantly shooting, his archery skills are also rapidly improving. After another arrow, Su Hao suddenly felt that he had some insights into archery. Bang! He quickly drew his consciousness into the 9-story pagoda in his mind. Archery, proficient in 1 to 200, archery has been elevated to a higher level. Okay. Su Hao smiled and opened his eyes. After half a day of practice, he has achieved the proficient archery effect brought by wielding weapons. Nowadays, even without the deer tendon bow, he can still handle other bows and arrows with ease. Archery has truly become his. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Su Hao was about to leave the 9-story pagoda in his mind when suddenly he stopped and turned his head to look at one side of the tower. There is a phantom like a deer tendon bow over there. At this moment, the level of control under the shadow has also changed, from 0% to 10%. Hold on, it's like this. Su Hao clenched his fist. Bing Dao, that's great. As long as you practice, you can take control. Nowadays, Su Hao is even more dynamic. After withdrawing from the 9-story pagoda in his mind, he pulled back his deer tendon bow, but soon he felt fatigue in his arms and body. Su Hao stopped his movements and suddenly heard his stomach growling. Practicing arrows also consumes a lot of physical strength, and coupled with one's own weakness, practicing for most of the day is already the limit. Until now, after the enthusiasm subsided, Su Hao felt very tired. Su Hao took out the leftover food from his family, ate a meal, and then fell asleep, recuperating himself. In the following days, Su Hao would hold on to the dilapidated cabin and practice archery. Grinding a knife does not delay the woodcutter. Hunting is a very dangerous thing. Although Su Hao comes from the Blue Star and has many traps such as hanging feet, after all, this is an ancient society. Bears, leopards, jackals, and wolves often appear in the mountains and forests. So, for the sake of his own life, Su Hao plans to cultivate his archery skills to a very high level. It's best that he can fully grasp the deer tendon bow before the food is finished. But sometimes reality is not based on will. After Su Hao's shooting lasted for a week, the grain stored by the original owner was completely depleted. If he doesn't go out to buy food again, he won't have anything to eat. For archery minor achievement, 1 arrow breaks through the target. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Su Hao glanced at archery, which had already surpassed his proficiency level and was not far from Xiaocheng. He gritted his teeth and decided to wait longer to make money. Money can be earned at any time, but there is only one life. Hunting is not like being on a blue star, carrying hunting weapons and just getting a few hoodies, and there won't be much danger. But it's different here. In the deep mountains, there are not only little white rabbits, but also jackals, wolves, tigers, leopards, and even spirits and monsters. So, just being proficient in archery made Su Hao feel a bit uneasy and not very safe. Anyway, he still has 2 taels of silver to save his life, so he can live frugally and support himself for over a week. After using up the silver, wait for archery to improve before going hunting. Especially after using the weapon path of the 9-story tower to wield the deer tendon bow and obtain strong special effects, it is best to go hunting. After all, safety comes first. Su Hao slightly tidied up his appearance, stored all valuable things in the 9-story pagoda, and then pushed open the old wooden door and walked out of the house. Xiaohao, you're out. The neighbor, a woman who knows Su Hao, greeted. Everyone lowered their heads and looked up to greet each other, which is understandable. As lower-class individuals, as long as it is not related to the interests of survival, our neighborhood relationships are relatively good. Yes. Su Hao nodded with a smile and responded one by one. Xiaohao, Jia Gui and his team have recently taken over the business at the fish market in the village. They are also spreading rumors that you should repay the money as soon as possible. If you have nothing to do, don't go there, a woman spoke up to remind them. They also knew that Su Hao's fishing boat had been taken by Jia Gui and others, but they had no choice. This society is like the law of the fittest. Who said Su Hao's father left, and now he is a single boy without anyone to support him. Jia Gui has great momentum and has practiced martial arts for several years. He is known for his domineering behavior in Shizuan and has gathered a lot of mischievous people. And they also heard that there are shadows of the Qinshan County gang behind Jia Gui. And the gang has warriors. The common people have a natural sense of awe towards the martial artists of the human race. Well, I got it, thank you. Su Hao's pupils narrowed for a moment. He pondered for a moment and decided to take a detour. As the saying goes, 2 fists are difficult to defeat 4 hands, and his current strength is not enough to crush him. Even when encountering Jia Gui, he would still bring shame to himself. Widely accumulate grain, build high walls, and slowly proclaim oneself king. He doesn't have many means now, so he can only let Jia Gui and others rest for a moment. When he has strength, Jia Gui will have to spit out as much as he eats, and it will have to be doubled. Su Hao did not go to the village to provoke Jia Gui, but instead followed the west village to a meat shop, Zhang Butcher's house. In this world, those who can have an industry are basically not ordinary people. For example, this butcher, with all his fat and tall body, just looking at it, there is a tremendous pressure. This kind of person sells things, even if it's a mischievous person like Jia Gui who wants to cause trouble, they have to weigh themselves a bit. Su Hao walked straight to Zhang Butcher's meat shop in Shizuan. Just as he was about to speak, a corner of his eye fell on the pig knife in Zhang Butcher's hand for 100 years, and his pupils shrank. A sharp pig-killing knife, with a faint white light shining through its blade. The misty white light is even more intense than the deer tendon bow. That is to say, what is in front of me is also a white equipment, and it is even better than a deer tendon bow. I don't know what special effects this pig-killing knife has, but unfortunately, Butcher Zhang won't sell it to me either. After murmuring in his heart, Su Hao pointed to a piece of pork belly on the meat shop and said directly, "Give me a pound." Butcher Zhang glanced at Su Hao, wielding a pig-killing knife in his hand, and cut open a piece of pork. Butcher Zhang casually shook it and threw it in front of Su Hao, his voice roaring, 2 coins. Su Hao took a deep breath. Although he knows that ancient meat was very expensive, it's too expensive, isn't it? A typical person's monthly salary is only 2 or 3 yuan, and 1 pound of meat is 1 month's salary. However, Su Hao was surprised, but he still took out a small piece of silver from his pocket and handed it 2 coins. To cultivate, one needs to eat meat. Just eating dried pancakes doesn't have the strength to improve one's proficiency in liver weapons. It's just 2 coins of silver, he can still afford it now. After seeing Su Hao take out the broken silver and deliver it, Butcher Zhang grinned and said, "Come back after eating. The meat here is definitely fair to both the old and the young." After weighing the meat strips and confirming that there was not much discount, Su Hao asked in a low voice, "If there is any game, can I sell it to you?" Upon hearing Su Hao's words, Butcher Zhang couldn't help but be taken aback. He immediately looked at Su Hao seriously and didn't think he had any wild game to catch, because he couldn't feel any hunter's aura from Su Hao. And he also knows Su Hao, who is just a fisherman from Shizuan. "If you can hit me, you can come and sell it to me," Butcher Zhang casually said. In Shizuan, he also has a background, otherwise how could he sell meat openly here? Okay. After receiving the response, Su Hao was overjoyed. In this way, when he hunts the prey, he won't go around looking for buyers. Su Hao didn't stop, he picked up the pork and turned around to continue purchasing. The only thing he had to do now was to improve his strength. Butcher Zhang looked at Su Hao's back and couldn't help but smile. A fishing boy, after being robbed of a fishing boat, actually wants to go hunting. You should know that hunting is much more dangerous than fishing. He doesn't think Su Hao can catch any prey. Butcher Zhang shook his head and ignored it. After Su Hao left the meat shop, he ran straight to the grain shop in Shizuan and some shops that made dry food. Zhaoshuyuan.com this time, he was not prepared to leave any money for the purchase. If he didn't succeed, he would settle for it. He had to work hard and keep the deer tendon bow in full control. After spending half a day, Su Hao exchanged all his possessions for food and some arrows. Finally, Su Hao walked to the corner of the alley and stored the supplies in the 9-story pagoda before briskly walking back to the house. Most of the other people went to work, and when they returned, the doors of many nearby houses were tightly closed. In ancient times, there was no money and not much entertainment. Su Hao entered the room and immediately closed it tightly. He then cooked, ate, and drank. After the meal was full, he began to practice with a deer tendon bow. Archery Proficiency +1, Archery Proficiency +1, bang. When an arrow was shot, the target made of wooden blocks by Su Hao was directly pierced by the arrow, shattering into 2 pieces. Meanwhile, Su Hao felt that his archery had made significant progress. He immediately sank his mind and looked at the 9-story pagoda in his mind. On one side of the 9-story pagoda, where the deer tendon bow shadow is displayed, a message is presented. Archery, small to 1/500, Xiaocheng. Su Hao grinned. This indicates that he has achieved some success in archery. This is much more powerful than mastering. Su Hao felt that if his arrow hit a person, he might be able to pierce a big hole with one arrow. This is just ordinary archery. If you have obtained strong special effects and even practiced martial arts to enhance your body, even an Iron Man can break through a hole with just one arrow. Okay. Su Hao clenched his fist and immediately looked at the grip of the deer tendon bow. 5. The First Murder. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, 50%. Su Hao was overjoyed as he looked at the grip displayed below the deer tendon bow. As expected, as long as he keeps practicing with the deer tendon bow, he can improve his grip, and the improvement in grip varies at each stage. Next, it's time to fully improve your liver proficiency. Su Hao's mind sank. With continuous archery, several wooden blocks as targets were shot through. This also saved Su Hao the power to chop wood and start a fire. And with changes in diet and archery exercises, he feels that his body is gradually becoming stronger, no longer as thin and weak as when he first crossed over. Su Hao kept killing and then eating. Meanwhile, news of Su Hao purchasing a large amount of materials also reached Jia Gui's ears. That kid didn't starve to death, there's still money to buy leftover food. Jia Gui received the news with a gloomy expression on his face. He likes to eat out of households because the cost is minimal and others can't say anything about it. He had previously taken Su Hao's fishing boat in order to force him to death, and then obtained Su Hao's house on the West Village transportation route, as well as the rumored hunting bow of the Su family. This was originally a good plan. In Jia Gui's plan, with no fishing boats and no reliance, Su Hao either starved to death or went hunting with his family's hunting bow, and then died in the wilderness. Everything about Su Hao will belong to him then. But Jia Gui never expected that Su Hao was still alive and had purchased so much surplus food. It seems that Su Hao's ancestral legacy is not small, underestimate him. Jia Gui held a promissory note with a gloomy expression. In fact, he should have known long ago that a family with a famous hunter's inheritance could not have consumed their wealth in a short period of time. There must be some money hidden in places they cannot find. If I had known a few days ago, I should have flipped my head upside down. Boss, next month is Brother Lu's birthday. He likes long bows, and if we don't prepare, we won't be able to win his favor, said a mischievous person in a low voice. Jia Gui took a deep breath and said with a gloomy face, "You two guard for me. When he comes out, he must repay the money. If he can't repay it, break his leg first. I want to see how long he can hold on." Yes. Two mischievous Zhang as an old San nodded happily. It is their honor to be able to serve Jia Gui, let alone deal with a thin and weak young man, which is completely effortless. They have already planned to break Su Hao's legs under the pretext of owing money. People who have broken their limbs find it difficult to even beg, and starvation is inevitable. Moreover, the risk of doing so is small, and they will violate the laws of the great Xian dynasty. After the two rascals left, Jia Gui took a deep breath and looked at his fishing stall, deciding to increase his strength. Behind him is Lu Gu from the Green Snake Gang, a person who has truly practiced martial arts. Although he has not become a martial artist or a weapon that can nourish his chi and blood, his strength is also well known in the Green Snake Gang. As long as he flatters Brother Lu of the Green Snake Gang, he will be able to become a member of the Green Snake Gang and be eligible to practice martial arts. Once you become a warrior, you are truly a human being. No one can stop me from becoming a warrior, Su Hao. If you don't know how to stand up anymore, you'll have to personally send you on the road. Jia Gui clenched his fist and made up his mind. If there is no effect within half a month, even if he takes a little risk, he will still have to get the bow and arrow he has heard of on the birthday of Brother Lu in the Green Snake Gang. While Jia Gui was holding back his bad thoughts, Su Hao pulled the deer tendon bow day and night. Rest when you're tired. When hungry, take out ingredients from the 9th floor tower and make a meal to fill your stomach. In short, Su Hao has already spared no effort. In this world, there is no strength, no self-protection ability, and he doesn't even want to leave the house. 1 day, 2 days. 1 week, 2 weeks. Time slowly flowed away, and Su Hao's speed of pulling the deer tendon bow also became faster and faster. Inside the old house, there are already many wooden blocks scattered on the ground. Even furniture, tables, chairs, and benches were used as targets. In the entire house, except for a bed, everything else that could be used as a target was utilized, becoming Su Hao's shooting target. The consumption was significant, and Su Hao made a desperate decision, but his progress was also evident. After nearly half a month of cultivation, Su Hao's archery has reached its peak and is not far from perfection. The most important thing is that Su Hao's deer tendon bow has also reached a grip degree of 80%, only 20 meters away from obtaining special effects in an overflow state. Strength is right in front of us. Su Hao continues to cultivate. His training is not rigid, but also combined with some scientific techniques. At the same time, he has a 9-story pagoda and can also see the progress of his techniques. Sometimes, with good luck, his proficiency can even increase by +2. Time is running out, what if that kid doesn't come out, said the mischievous old San Yi with a gloomy face. I messed with him tonight, said another mischievous Xianxia. Okay. The two of them reached an intention in an instant, waiting for the night to come. At night, after half a day of cultivation, Su Hao lay on the bed and checked the progress on the 9-story pagoda. Click. In the quiet night, Su Hao suddenly heard the sound of branches breaking. He immediately became alert. Su Hao knew the dangers of the world, and he set up many small traps in the courtyard surrounded by fences, and also scattered many dead branches to prevent someone from attacking him. I have no choice but to be cautious. He has enemies, not to mention the world is full of evil and eerie. If you are not careful, you may pay the price of your life. Su Hao immediately got up from the bed, picked up the deer tendon bow placed next to the bed, and quietly walked to the entrance of the library www.zhaozuiyuan.com, his expression focused. The hunting experience of wielding the deer tendon bow instantly spreads throughout the body. Bang! Just as Su Hao was on guard, there was a huge bang, and then 2 figures rushed in, holding an iron rod in their hands. These 2 people are exactly the 2 rascals under Jia Gui, Zhang Az and Lao San. Whoosh! At the moment they collided into the gatehouse, a piercing sound echoed through the air. In an instant, a stream of light flickered out from the darkness and landed fiercely on the chest of Zhang Az. Ah! After a scream, the remaining force of the arrow did not diminish and penetrated Zhang Az's body, then shot into Old San's body. Puff! Zhang Az, the leader, remained silent as his forward body crashed to the ground. Until he died, he didn't understand what killed him. It's actually outdated because there was an Asus body as a shield in front of him, and after 1 arrow, he still hadn't died completely. He felt the pain coming from his body, looked up in fear, and quickly begged for mercy, don't kill me, don't kill me. But another arrow greeted him. Whoosh! The arrow penetrated Old San's head and killed him directly. Flowing clouds and flowing water, without any dragging or dragging. This is the power of archery after its completion, even in the dark, Su Hao was able to shoot arrows without fail. Hoo. Su Hao gasped heavily. This is his first time killing someone. Although he knew that the person who came in the middle of the night was either a bandit or a villain, after shooting arrows to kill the 2, his whole body still trembled in waves. Especially now that someone has been killed, how should the body be handled? 6. The Great Crisis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Those who have killed people know that killing is simple, but dealing with corpses is difficult. At present, 2 corpses are placed in the room, which is really difficult to handle. Moreover, Su Hao is afraid that he may not handle it properly. These 2 corpses have become eerie and sinister. What should he do? Su Hao did not regret shooting the 2. They came in the middle of the night, not knocking on the door, still holding weapons in their hands, which clearly meant to put him to death. As the saying goes, it is strong to start first and suffer later. Su Hao has no mercy at all. And when he turned on the lamp and saw their faces clearly, the last bit of burden in his heart also disappeared. These two people are the Popi from Shitsuan and also the subordinates of Popi Jia Gui who snatched his fishing boat. They used to bully men and women on weekdays and roam the countryside. Now that they have come to this end, it can be considered as their own fault. Jia Gui, I didn't bother you. How dare you send someone to kill me? Su Hao's face was gloomy, but he quickly frowned. In theory, his family's most valuable fishing boat has been taken away. The rest are mostly scraps. Jia Gui should not take the name of being notorious to snatch his last bit of property. Jia Gui's ruthless behavior will be rejected by the people of Shitsuan, causing panic and not worth the loss, because Jia Gui is not a warrior and has no qualifications to be completely respected. Is it for the deer tendon bow? Su Hao thought of another possibility. The only valuable weapon he has now is the deer tendon bow, which is also a special effect weapon that allows warriors to use their qi and blood to warm up. How did Jia Gui know he had a deer tendon bow, and who leaked some information? Su Hao searched his memory in his mind and found no relevant information. The original owner only revealed information about the existence of hunters in his ancestors, but did not reveal the deer tendon bow. Even at the moment when Su Hao received the deer tendon bow, he relied on the 9-story Dao pagoda to learn that it was a special effect weapon. Su Hao pondered for a moment, but couldn't come up with a reason, so he gave up directly. The most important thing now is to clean up the body. Su Hao crouched down, groped for a while, and scraped away all the money on the two of them. The total is 3 coins of silver, plus over 20 copper coins. Not much, but it's enough for Su Hao to buy over a pound of pork from Butcher Zhang. Subsequently, Su Hao tentatively placed his hand on the 2 corpses and then had a thought. The next second, 2 corpses appeared inside the first floor of the 9-story pagoda. Sure enough. Su Hao was overjoyed. The 9-story pagoda can store money, and now it seems that it can also take in the bodies of enemies. In this way, he can quietly transfer the 2 mischievous corpses without involving himself and causing suspicion from others. Su Hao then took out his broom, cleaned the ground, and even scraped a layer of blood-stained ground. After confirming that there were no omissions, he picked up his deer tendon bow and took advantage of the night to run towards the east of West Village, where Jia Gui was located, in the courtyard. Since Jia Gui has taken action, he must also fight back. Only 1,000 days of being a thief, there is no one who can guard against thieves for 1,000 days. Moreover, he knows one thing. It's better to start first than to suffer later. This time there are 2 mischievous warriors, and the next time there may be 2 true warriors. Think negatively about everything. What if Jia Gui has great energy to command the warriors, or if the 2 rascals in front of him are just used to frame him? Su Hao doesn't want to put himself in a passive position of not fighting back. Su Hao originally planned to wait until he took control of the deer tendon bow and confirmed that everything was safe before finding an opportunity to kill Jia Gui. Now it seems that we can't wait anymore to avoid long dreams at night. Su Hao knows Jia Gui's residence, it's easy to find. Even though it is now dark with only a few flickering lights, as a mischievous leader, Jia Gui and his friends usually have brightly lit courtyards. Su Hao just needs to follow the location of the bright light. In no time, Su Hao arrived outside the courtyard where Jia Gui was located. As he had imagined, Jia Gui's courtyard was still lively, with many mischievous people making loud noises and shouting. Su Hao holds a deer tendon bow and has maximized the hunting experience gained from wielding it. In a situation where the enemy is clear and we are dark, this is simply a natural hunting ground. The hunting has begun. At this moment, Su Hao had already put on his clothes in reverse, and there was a piece of rag surrounding his face to minimize the probability of exposing himself. He chose a nearby highland and raised his deer tendon bow in his hand. The darkness provided him with the greatest cover, especially in Jia Gui's courtyard where there was a great light, which quickly led him to find Jia Gui's location. At this moment, Jia Gui is bowing his drink with a flattering expression on his face. Su Hao stood on the high ground and aimed at Jia Gui. Without hesitation, he let go of his hand holding the bowstring. Whoosh! The arrow detached from the long bow and shot out quickly like a shell. The sound of breaking through the air echoed through. Just as the arrow was about to hit Jia Gui's chest, a big hand reached out, like a twisted chicken, and in an instant, it caught the arrow of breaking through the air. Buzz! The arrows trembled, but they couldn't escape the control of their big hands. Who? A loud shout echoed through. The man who grabbed the arrow suddenly looked in the direction it was flying towards. He casually raised it and the arrow counterattacked at a faster speed. At the same time, he jumped up and stood on the courtyard wall, then rushed towards the knight. Until now, the other mischievous people in Jia Gui's courtyard only realized. They watched as the Green Snake Gang Lu Ning rushed towards the outer courtyard, exchanged glances, and quickly grabbed a torch and chased after him. Quickly, Jia Gui and others saw Lu Ning with a face full of anger on a high ground. "Brother Lu, what's wrong?" Jia Gui raised the torch and came to Lu Ning's side, looking at the arrows that had sunk into the ground, unsure of how to speak for a moment. He felt that the previous arrow was against Lu Ning, because his mischievous behavior would only bully weaker people and would not provoke strong retaliation. Lu Ning of the Green Snake Gang also felt the same way. He did not respond to Jia Gui, but stared at the arrow that had sunk into the ground, recalling his enemy. For a long time, he shook his head because he had done too many bad things and enemies were everywhere. He couldn't even determine who would attack and kill him in this dark night. But what can be certain is that the other party came prepared. Do miscellaneous fish also want Lu's life? Lu Ning snorted coldly and turned his head. Let's go back and continue drinking. Lu Ning is fearless. As a member of the Green Snake Gang, it's normal to be attacked once or twice a day, but it's a common occurrence. As long as all the resources are collected at the end of this year, he will attack the warriors, and it will be even more difficult for his former enemies to deal with him. It's just a petty thief, don't catch him, otherwise. He will let the attacker know that offending the Green Snake Gang will lead to offending him at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Brother Lu, please come this way. Jia Gui's face was full of flattery. Under a courtyard wall, Su Hao crouched down with a look of fear on his face. Even now, despite escaping with the advantage of his familiar environment, his back was still sweating profusely. Is this a warrior? He caught a flying arrow with his bare hands, it's really scary. Fortunately, I left with just one blow, otherwise I would have been really blocked. Su Hao touched the cold sweat on his forehead. Fortunately, he was cautious and shot an arrow, leaving the scene regardless of whether he hit or not. If he hesitated, even if he stayed in place for a while longer, he might have been left behind. Although he escaped, Su Hao's mood was extremely heavy. I wanted to kill Jia Gui today, but I came across a skilled expert protecting me. If Jia Gui is alone, it's okay. If he doesn't hit at once, he can go and shoot Jia Gui at a different time and place, once and for all. But now Jia Gui has established a relationship with the warrior. That would be troublesome. Wuxia, however, was the ruling class of the Dashuan dynasty and was the target of even various forces to win over. He was a figure that even county magistrates dared not easily offend. Once related to a warrior, things cannot be considered minor. If at dawn, Jia Gui receives news of the disappearance of the old third person and joins this warrior to persecute him, what should I do? Su Hao felt a sense of urgency. After tonight, if the old third-class rascal doesn't report back, it will definitely alert Jia Gui. Will Jia Gui come with this powerful warrior to capture him then? Su Hao couldn't predict at all. He dare not gamble on Jia Gui's goodness. Once Jia Gui and the warriors in the courtyard gather together to block him, he will have no escape and will definitely die without a place to bury himself. 7 Evil Haunts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, no, I can't sit idly by. Su Hao's face was gloomy. It's not possible to escape from Shitsuan directly like this, which confirms his charge of killing the old third person. At that time, the county government officials will come to arrest him. Once you become a wanted criminal, the situation will become even more dangerous. And it's too difficult to survive in the wild. There's too little time left for me. Whenever Jia Gui realizes something is wrong and brings the powerful warrior over, my chances of winning are extremely low. Moreover, if Jia Gui works for the Green Snake Gang, the warrior is likely to be from the Green Snake Gang. Even if I can win, I will openly oppose the Green Snake Gang. What should I do if I am not a warrior? After seeing a hint of whiteness in the sky, Su Hao's expression became even more anxious. He returned to Jia Gui's courtyard, but never found a chance. Every time he raised his bow and arrow, his hunting experience with weapons was crazily warning. Kill in. That's tantamount to seeking death. A warrior is too strong to launch a surprise attack, let alone a frontal attack. And with so much mischief, he was holding a bow and arrow, not Gatling. Su Hao took a deep breath, set aside his thoughts, and finally gritted his teeth and aimed his bow at Jia Gui again. Whoosh! Arrows flew by, and Su Hao turned around and fled. As he fled, he also saw the warrior instantly shoot down the arrows from the air. Where are you, Xiao Xiao? Get out of here! A burst of excitement echoed through the sky. After Su Hao shot the arrow, he dared not stop for a moment, relying on his familiarity with Shitsuan to distance himself. For a long time, Su Hao paused and looked at the flowing Blackwater River not far away. Can we only avoid its sharpness and leave our homeland far away? By the way, I still have the hair of a long-haired female corpse. Su Hao looked at the turbulent Blackwater River and a thought suddenly came to his mind. The long-haired female corpse usually appears at night, and for 100 days, he has not heard of any reports of evil spirits appearing, perhaps because he has not met the conditions for the long-haired female corpse to attack. So even if there are no conditions, conditions must be created. As long as it can restrain the Green Snake Gang, it is worth doing. And Jia Gui is likely to go to the fish stall as soon as dawn to work for the Green Snake Gang. Just hold on to Jia Gui here, and if there is any evil, the Green Snake Gang will definitely have no time to take care of themselves. Then I can take the opportunity to cultivate. Without any pause, Su Hao immediately set off for the fish stall in Shitsuan. Fish stalls can be considered as a small dock near the Heishui River in Shitsuan. This place is under the jurisdiction of the Green Snake Gang, and other fishermen who want to dock their boats here have to pay some taxes. If it's not enough, then I'm sorry, you can't stop. Of course, the fish stall cannot be stopped, and you cannot stop anywhere else, otherwise the consequences will be even more tragic. After paying the money, the Green Snake Gang will also protect the fishermen's fishing boats. Generally speaking, parking here can be considered safe. Su Hao arrived at the fish stall and watched for a while, only to find that there was not a single person on duty around him. Not even half of it is naughty. Perhaps it was because Jia Gui held a banquet in the courtyard that there were hardly any personnel stationed here. Heaven helps me too. Su Hao was overjoyed. With the help of the light in the sky, Su Hao scanned and quickly found Jia Gui's ship. Pupi Jiagui also has boats because they want to transport fish to Qingshan County, and the most convenient way is to enter the large dock of Qingshan County through the Heishui River. He didn't go up immediately, but looked around to make sure there was no hidden whistle. After confirming that there was really no one there, he jumped onto the wooden boat and took out the hair of the long-haired female corpse from the 9th floor pagoda. A cold and gloomy feeling suddenly struck. Su Hao felt as if he was holding a cluster of ice strands emitting a chill. Even at the moment when he took out the long-haired female corpse, Su Hao felt that the Heishui River was somewhat turbulent. Layers of waves came from far to near, making people shudder. As if the long-haired female corpse had come to life. Isn't it so cult? Su Hao gritted his teeth and scattered the hair of the long-haired female corpse on Jia Gui's large wooden boat. He even caught several clumps in the wind of the wooden board. Buzzing. When Su Hao put down a few clusters and the wooden boat swayed, he suddenly felt a palpitations rising in his heart. The hunting experience of wielding the deer tendon bow is frantically warning him. Without hesitation, Su Hao jumped off the big boat, turned around, and ran. Even while running, he caught a glimmer of light and noticed a black figure swimming over the surface of the Blackwater River. Su Hao dared not pause at all, crossed the fish stall in Shitsuan, and then ran away from Shitsuan. After running an extremely long distance again, the awe-inspiring feeling disappeared before Su Hao stopped walking. At this moment, Su Hao felt that his back was already wet with sweat. The feeling of palpitations was as helpless and lost as when I had just crossed over. This thing is not easy to mess with. Su Hao took a deep breath. Fortunately, he has a 9-story pagoda that can isolate everything. Otherwise, with the hair of a long-haired female corpse, he might not even be able to get close to the Blackwater River. I don't know if it will work. Su Hao stood on the high ground and glanced at the direction of Jia Gui's courtyard in Shitsuan. He chose a remote location and began practicing archery. As the saying goes, do one's best and listen to fate. He has achieved the utmost he can, and now it depends on whether fate can restrain the energy of the Green Snake Gang, thereby freeing up space and time for him. Su Hao held a deer tendon bow and started shooting directly. Now he is not far from fully mastering the deer tendon bow. Liver proficiency, liver to death. Whoosh whoosh. The sky is gradually brightening. At this moment, many fishermen have already walked out of their houses and headed to fish stalls. Look, what's that? A group of people arrived at the fish stall, waiting for the Green Snake Gang to give them permission to set sail. Suddenly, someone noticed a large wooden boat covered in black things that looked like long hair. Seems penetrating. This is sinister. The experienced fisherman looked frightened and quickly retreated. The others fled without hesitation upon hearing the words. Evil and eerie, that's not something ordinary people can touch. There is an iron law that if an ordinary person touches the evil, they will undoubtedly die. What should we do? Notify the Green Snake Gang quickly. Other fishermen dare not stay any longer. In an instant, the entire fish stall was deserted. Meanwhile, in Jia Gui's courtyard, a group of people were falling asleep in a chaotic state. The attack last night kept them constantly tense, and by dawn, coupled with drunkenness, they were already exhausted. Jia Gui and Lu Neng, the leader of the Green Snake Gang, also consumed a lot of energy. Although Lu Neng was not afraid, the sudden arrows still made him choose to be cautious. After dawn, Lu Neng confirmed that there was no danger before resting. Jia Gui is naturally like this. In broad daylight, as long as the attacker is not a fool, they will not choose to take action at this point in time. It wasn't until noon that a burly young man dressed in a Green Snake Gang uniform knocked on Jia Gui's courtyard door. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Bang 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 bang. The loud noise made the sleeping crowd inside look angry. Who is it, dare to disturb my purity? Jia Gui cursed loudly and casually pulled a wooden stick beside him. He came to the door and opened it. Is Captain Lu inside? The members of the Green Snake Gang shouted coldly. After Jia Gui saw clearly what the person in front of him was wearing, Zhou suddenly woke up. He changed his previous rebellious demeanor and quickly flattered, yes, yes. Please come inside, big brother. Jia Gui dare not show any negligence towards the members of the Green Snake Gang. He flatters Lu Neng just to become a member of the Green Snake Gang. After receiving a response, the members of the Green Snake Gang pushed Jia Gui away and rushed into the courtyard. East Wing. Jia Gui behind him quickly pointed the way. The members of the Green Snake Gang arrived at the eastern room and gently knocked on the door. "Captain Lu, there's an accident at the fish stall." After a moment, Lu Ning's lazy voice rang out in the room, "What's up?" "The fish stall has gone astray and is currently under control in Shitsuan. If the captain doesn't come out again, this news may have to be transmitted back to the gang." Bang! A surge of majestic qi and blood surged out, followed by Lu Ning, who was all muscular and wearing a long robe, pushing open the door and asking in a condensed voice, "What's going on?" The gang members reported without any concealment, "Today someone discovered that many women's long hair had appeared in the fish stall. The deputy captain said it was evil and wanted you to make a decision. Let's go." Lu Ning looked solemn and rushed out of the courtyard without worrying about getting fully dressed. The members of the Green Snake Gang followed closely behind. Evil. Jia Gui looked fearful, but he gritted his teeth and followed up. 8. Temporary release of danger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. Fish stalls gather a large number of people. But they all stayed away from the big ship with black hair, pointing and pointing. Surprisingly, there has been a mischievous presence here. What should we do? How can we catch fish in the future? Yeah, we can't fish. What do we eat? Everyone was talking with fear on their faces, but also worried about their future livelihood. You should be grateful. If you hadn't discovered it early and met again after entering the reed marshes of the Heishui River, it would have been too late to regret. Some people are also grateful for their survival after the disaster. If they hadn't discovered it earlier and waited for the evil to completely erupt before entering the Heishui River, it would have been a waste of time. That's right, fortunately I discovered it early. I heard that there was a transition from evil to evil. At the beginning, it was sporadic killing. If left unchecked, a demonic disaster would break out. Don't mention Shitsuan, the entire Qingshan County will suffer then. Yeah, it depends on how to solve it. Others are discussing it one after another. Lu Ning and other members of the Green Snake Gang quickly arrived at the fish stall. "Captain, look." A gang member immediately pointed to the wooden boat with black hair. Lu Ning's face was gloomy as he watched. He really wants to solve it, but he knows he can't handle it. Even not just him, I'm afraid even the entire Green Snake Gang can't handle it. And Jia Gui, who arrived on the side, looked in the direction that everyone was looking at and found that it was his own big wooden boat. Suddenly, the sky spun around. Most of his livelihood comes from this wooden boat. Now that he no longer has the transportation capacity of a wooden boat, how can he raise money? Without money, how can other mischievous people follow his lead? Brother Lu, we need to solve it. Jia Gui trembled as he approached Lu Ning and quickly said. Lu Ning glanced coldly at Jia Gui and thought to himself, I don't know how to solve it as soon as possible. Without this source, he would find it difficult to sustain himself. Unfortunately, this is not something he can fight against either. Report it up. Lu Ning sighed and turned around before leaving. Others saw it and left cursing, afraid of leaving late and being targeted by evil spirits. Now the evil spirit is still in the water and has not threatened them yet, but no one can guarantee that the evil spirit will not land. Besides, it's daytime now, so you can limit the evil spirits. If it's nighttime, the evil spirits will be more ferocious than anyone else. Brother Lu, Brother Lu. Jia Gui raised his hand, trying to persuade Lu to make a decision. But Lu Ning completely ignored Jia Gui and left directly, wanting to stay away from this place of calamity. Just a rascal, he hasn't even been allowed to stay to fight against the value of evil. Jia Gu, my old mother pig has given birth and has been very busy these past 2 days. A mischievous person spoke up directly, then turned around and ran. No need to walk, just run. Anyway, this is Jia Gui's ship and has nothing to do with them. They don't need to go against the evil for the sake of Jia Gui. Disobedience to Jia Gui is not well received at most, but if you fight against evil forces, you will lose your life. Jia Gu, my wife is also going to have a child. The other followers quickly found an excuse to leave when they saw this. Jia Gui was very anxious. But he was also helpless. When they have money, these people still rely on him. But now, facing danger and not being a warrior, he naturally lacks such great deterrence. Damn it, how could there be evil here? Jia Gui looked at the large wooden boat he had purchased at a high price with nostalgia, and then he didn't stop any longer. He turned and ran towards the direction of Qingshan County. It's not safe to stay in Shizuan. The evil erupted, affecting a wide range, and no one dared to get so close. As long as they have the ability, they start moving, and the majority of those left behind are poor people. Despite the external disturbances, Su Hao ignored them and persisted in shooting, and shooting again. Su Hao is also relaxed and moderate, because he is afraid that Jia Gui will suddenly come. If he practices too hard, when Jia Gui arrives, he will have no resistance. With a deer tendon bow and his archery skills, Su Hao believes that even if he cannot resist, he should have the power to protect himself. Su Hao intensified his cultivation while waiting quietly, thinking about how to counterattack. That warrior couldn't have been with Jia Gui all the time. Let's wait until it's dark to see. Only 1,000 days of being a thief, there is no 1,000 days of guarding against thieves. Opportunities are waiting to come. The sky is getting darker and darker. Su Hao cautiously advanced through the darkness. Black moon and high wind killing night. He had to be on guard against people and was afraid of evil landing, but the crisis was imminent and he had to move forward. Su Hao entered Shizuan, with a large number of vacant rooms and very few lights, as if he had entered an uninhabited village. The cool feeling at night is frightening. Su Hao quickly arrived at Jia Gui's courtyard and found it empty. They escaped, Su Hao said calmly. The sinister effect was even greater than he had imagined. Su Hao's expectation was to contain them, but it directly forced Jia Gui and others to retreat. The long-haired female corpse will not come ashore, but will suffer on its own. Su Hao shuddered as he looked around and quickly turned to run towards his own house. In the house, the strands of hair left by Su Hao when he left are still there. This indicates that Jia Gui and others did not come, and his crisis has temporarily been resolved. This relieved Su Hao. Su Hao continued practicing arrows in the room. Another night passed, and Su Hao opened the door, ready to go and inquire about reality and emptiness. As soon as Su Hao opened the door, he saw many neighbors nearby starting to tidy up their bedding. Xiaohao, there's something sinister happening at the fish stall. Recently, if you can leave, try to leave as much as possible to avoid any harm. A neighbor woman saw Su Hao push the door open and immediately spoke up as a warning. What's wrong with it? Su Hao quickly asked, are there any casualties? What he most wants to hear is that Jia Gui died at the hands of evil, because he only put the hair of a long-haired female corpse inside Jia Gui's ship. If you want to kill someone, the key should be to take care of Jia Gui. Not yet, but no one can guarantee it in the future. Sigh, the woman sighed. Leaving one's hometown is the most difficult thing these days. Especially if something happens to the Heishui River, the impact will be huge, and they can only hope that Qingshan County can respond and solve the evil. Otherwise, the entire Qingshan County would be shrouded in fear. Zhaoshuyuan.com. Su Hao remained silent. He didn't expect his last-minute plan to have such a huge impact. But if he did it again, he would not hesitate to do so. Because he indirectly saved the people in Shizuan. If they still enter the Heishui River area in a daze to fish, once they encounter a long-haired female corpse, the consequences can only be like the original owner, unable to resist at all. Breaking the news of the evil in advance will force the official response of the great Xian dynasty, whether to fight or kill. Su Hao also wants to see if there are any people or forces within the Great Xian territory who can resist the evil and eerie. Su Hao inquired around and found that many people had left Shizuan yesterday, especially Jia Gui and a group of hooligans. They left Shizuan from the beginning. Having gone through a danger, there is also a hidden danger, but as far as I know, that long-haired female corpse should not have walked out of the Blackwater River. Su Hao felt a little calm in his heart. He is actually most afraid of Jia Gui's deep scheming, blaming everything on him and then killing him. Then he can only rise up and resist. If he kills without reason and is not a warrior, it will violate the taboo of a general election dynasty. Fortunately, Jia Gui does not have such intelligence, otherwise he would not just be a rascal. Not long ago, when my archery skills are perfect and I have mastered the deer tendon bow to become strong, I can free up my hands to make money, buy special effects weapons, and become a martial artist. The crisis will resolve on its own. Su Hao returned to his room, closed the door tightly, and started shooting arrows again. Now we are only 2,000 times away from the completion of archery shoot. Seeking investment, give a reward of 2 coins to those with the ability to improve reading comprehension. 9. Obtain white special effect, strong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, next, as Su Hao had imagined. The coldness of the fish stall became even more pressing, making people feel intimidated, as if the long-haired female corpse had treated the fish stall as her own nest. But the long-haired female corpse never walked ashore from beginning to end. On the contrary, other water bodies along the Blackwater River have experienced a series of homicides. In just one day, the people of Xianxia County became aware of the evil deeds of the Heishui River, causing unbearable suffering for the people who rely on water for food, and even affecting the shipping industry in Xianxia County. The influence of long-haired female corpses is also increasing. After discovering that the long-haired female corpse had not walked ashore, Su Hao intensified his shooting and often watched the situation of the fish stall from a distance. During this period, Su Hao also found a deserted place and threw away the old bodies of 3 or 2 people. Anyway, now that the Heishui River is plagued by evil, I'm afraid no one can trace his head. A week later, Su Hao shot another arrow. Time slowly passed by like this. Some people are gradually returning to Shizuan. After all, for ordinary people, running away from home can only be temporary. Living without a fixed place also requires spending money. Moreover, within a few days, there was no accident in Shizuan, and everyone could see that the evil was likely only in the water. At the same time, the people who make a living by fishing began to shift their careers. Relying on mountains to eat mountains, relying on water to eat water. Since the water is not good, they naturally need to go to the mountains behind Xianxia County. Whether it's hunting, gathering firewood, or searching for medicinal herbs, they can all be considered a livelihood. Su Hao felt the returning crowd around him, and he intensified his cultivation even more. Another 3 days have passed. Your archery proficiency +1, archery has reached a perfect state. Bang. After Su Hao shot the arrow, he felt a shock in the 9-story pagoda. The perfect realm. Su Hao quickly put down the deer tendon bow in his hand, and then his mind moved, sinking into the 9-story pagoda in his mind. Inside the 9-story pagoda, the phantom of the deer tendon bow has become increasingly focused. Su Hao's main task is to check the grip of the deer tendon bow. The percentage is 100. Below is a user.friendly button for obtaining special effects. It's really from the blue star, and he knows how to make people understand at a glance. After roast, Su Hao thought about it and chose to receive it directly. Bang! On the side of the 9-story pagoda, the phantom of the deer tendon bow trembled slightly, and then disappeared into the first floor of the pagoda. Su Hao kept staring. He found that after the phantom of the deer tendon bow disappeared, it turned into a wave of energy and sank into the energy slot below the 9th floor tower. Although it was not much and almost invisible to the naked eye, he still felt it clearly. That is to say, wielding weapons belongs to the realm of warfare, and can also accelerate the opening of the 9-story tower. Su Hao was overjoyed. This is another way to open the 9-story tower, in addition to explicitly hunting down the negative energy of the evil and eerie. The energy gained from mastering the deer tendon bow is minimal and almost invisible to the naked eye, but don't forget. Deer tendon bow is a white regular equipment. After mastering more powerful weapons in the future, Su Hao believes he will gain more energy. Just as Su Hao was overjoyed, the 9-story pagoda trembled slightly, creating a majestic aura that seemed like the energy of a great avenue emanating from within. Bang! Energy instantly acts on Su Hao's body. The next second, Su Hao felt his body strengthening at a visible speed to the naked eye. The thin and weak body becomes angular and has bulging muscles and veins. The process is very brief. Before Su Hao could fully feel anything, the energy of the 9-story pagoda dissipated completely. Is this the special effect in charge? Su Hao's consciousness withdrew from the 9-story pagoda, and he immediately felt his body strong. This is the first feeling. Su Hao clenched his fist casually and suddenly felt a powerful force from his body. Su Hao picked up the deer tendon bow on the side with ease, and with a gentle pull, the deer tendon bow was pulled full. Previously, Su Hao had to work hard. Once he was hungry or shot frequently, he would feel tired. But now, with a gentle pull, Su Hao felt like he had not yet exerted half of his strength when he completely pulled open his deer tendon bow. Hands are firmer and more stable. Su Hao held the bow in one hand, pulled the string in the other, and then released his right hand. With a buzzing sound, the deer tendon bow let out a roar. Bang! The arrow flew out and landed on a target. Suddenly, the wooden target split into pieces under the powerful impact of the arrow. So strong, this force is several times greater than before. After seeing the power of archery, Su Hao's confidence greatly increased. At this moment, even a fierce tiger was in front of him, and he had the confidence to shoot it. Although Su Hao felt very strong, he didn't have an intuitive feeling yet. His eyes looked around and he came to the only wooden bed left in the room. He extended one hand, gently grasped it, and lifted the entire wooden bed up. What a powerful force! Su Hao showed a strange expression. A wooden bed, along with some things that were originally placed, weighed about 100 pounds, but he lifted it up with one hand. This is far from the limit. After pondering for a moment, Su Hao walked out of the room and arrived outside the house in the darkness. He saw a huge stone at a glance. The giant stone is estimated to be 1 person tall, several meters wide, and appears to be extremely heavy. Su Hao took a deep breath, propped his feet on the ground, hugged his hands, and then exerted force. Get up! The huge stone lifted directly off the ground. Su Hao persisted for a few seconds before finally letting go. Although he didn't lift the boulder, his eyes were fiery. His strength is at least 1,000 pounds, and may even be close to 2,000 pounds. It's just a white special effect, which increased his strength by 2,000 pounds. The bonus brought by white special effects is really too great, exceeding the limits of ordinary people. At this physical strength in front of him, Su Hao felt that he was delicious and good to drink. After 10 years of scientific exercise, he was afraid that he might not achieve the desired results. Because exercise can only reach certain areas, if you want to become stronger, you need to be delicious and persistent in your efforts. And now, simply wielding a white special effects weapon, its strength is achieved through all-round blessing. Such a force, if it hits a person, I'm afraid one punch can kill them. My power is not far from the warrior, is it? Now wait for me to hunt down goods, earn money, buy special effects weapons, learn martial arts, and become a master, with wives and concubines in groups. What if it were a better white special effect? Su Hao grinned and couldn't help but think of the beautiful picture of the future when looking for Shuyuan www.xiaoshuyuan.com. After a month of traveling through the election dynasty, he finally made a good start. Because he feels strong, not only does it simply improve, but it also adds some so-called martial arts skills. Su Hao took a deep breath and then shot in the room for a long time. After fully adapting to his own strength, he took out the saved pork and had a delicious meal. After Su Hao was full, he lay down on the only furniture in bed, sleeping soundly. Nurture your strength and prepare to welcome your king. Tomorrow, Su Hao is going out to hunt wild animals. It's best to hunt down a bear or a tiger. Because these two types of beasts have extremely high value and high prices. As long as one end is hunted, it's not a problem to exchange for 10 or 20 taels of silver. When the time comes, Su Hao can not only buy special effects weapons, but also raise all the money for learning martial arts. The night passed quickly. The next day, Su Hao slept until he woke up naturally. He got up and washed up, polished his arrows a bit, then carried the quiver on his back and picked up the deer tendon bow to walk out of the house. Xiaohao, are you going hunting? The neighbors nearby were stunned when they saw Su Hao holding a long bow, showing a different expression. Although fishing in the Heishui River is restricted, hunting is not something that anyone can do. The dense forest not only has fierce beasts, but also many harsh weather conditions and lost directions. Once a mistake is made, it may be buried forever. Besides, Su Hao is so young that he doesn't have much experience at first glance. Yeah, we found our ancestors' tools and let's take a chance. Su Hao responded casually, while also purchasing some dry food just in case. 10. Make a fortune. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Xiaohao, there has been a big bug in the deep mountains recently. I heard that a few hunters have died. If it's not necessary, don't go. A neighbor immediately reminded Su Hao when he saw his hunter's outfit. Big bug, that's the natural enemy of hunters. I usually run into wild boars and jackals, but there is a chance to escape. However, if I run into a tiger in the deep mountains and cannot hunt it, the probability of escaping is extremely low. Unless there are many people. Don't worry, I won't go too deep. Su Hao casually replied. A big bug is also a tiger. That's a good thing. Once hunted, it can sell for a lot of money. Once hunted, it's a wave of fat. At that time, he can not only go to Xianxia County to purchase special effects weapons, but also directly go to the martial arts school to learn martial arts and become a master of martial arts. The neighbor sighed when he saw Su Hao so persistent. Good fishermen are forced to become hunters. If it weren't for the sake of livelihood, who would be willing to go hunting and adventure in the deep mountains and forests? Su Hao walked out of Shitsuan and headed directly towards the mountains behind Xingshan County. At this moment, Su Hao had no worries from others, but instead showed a hint of excitement and unease. I'm not sure if I'll run into a tiger. Excitedly, he can engage in unlimited hunting. He can hunt anything he can see, without even worrying about legal issues. When he was at Blue Star, Su Hao had an impulse to hunt. Now, it's time to unleash one's nature. As Su Hao walked, he also saw many hunters carrying long bows and carrying traps walking towards the deep mountains and dense forests. That kid over there will take care of this area and go somewhere else. Su Hao was about to climb up the mountain when someone immediately scolded him, and then a few people took out bows and arrows at him. Damn it, we have to form cliques everywhere, damn it. Su Hao cursed inwardly and turned around before leaving. This big mountain, let me give it to you. It's not that I'm afraid of you, but that I don't think it's worth it. Taking action, Su Hao's archery reached a perfect level, making it easy to deal with a few hunters. However, Su Hao is not here to occupy territory, so there is no need to put himself in a dangerous situation. Su Hao specializes in finding remote places to travel. Of course, he didn't just wander around casually, but started searching for prey through his hunting experience with the deer tendon bow he held. After walking for a moment, Su Hao discovered the feces of the wild boar. Su Hao quickly climbed up a big tree and landed on the downwind. He sniffed hard and immediately found the rough direction of the wild boar's infestation. Thinking of how easy it is, Su Hao jumped down the tree trunk with a relaxed expression. This is due to the hunting experience of mastering the deer tendon bow, as well as the strong special effects obtained by Su Hao after fully mastering it. The two can be said to complement each other, making him instantly become an extremely experienced old hunter. Su Hao followed the scent and moved forward quickly. He felt relieved in his heart. 1 pound of pork is worth 2 coins, 10 pounds is 2 taels, and if a wild boar weighs 100 pounds, it is 20 taels. Although the type of meat can lead to different prices, and the meat of wild boars is slightly lower than that of fed pork, overall, if a wild boar weighs 200 to 300 pounds, it can still be worth 20 to 30 taels. 20 or 30 taels, and wild boars are all in groups. If you catch them, you'll end up with a whole family. Su Hao's heart was burning with passion. Others hunt wild boars and only take away the most valuable ones because the journey is long and inconvenient to carry. Moreover, in the wild, the bloody smell can attract many wild animals and even attract monsters. Jingguai, that is on the same level as the evil and eerie. So, most hunters who kill their prey will quickly return and deal with the goods before returning. But Su Hao is different because he has a 9-story pagoda. Su Hao can hunt a large number of prey at once, and he can also use the Tower of the Avenue to isolate the smell of blood. Su Hao walked cautiously while using his hunting experience to search for the scent and direction of the wild boar. After chasing for more than 10 miles, Su Hao finally saw the pursuing prey in a mountain stream. A group of wild boars. There are about 13 heads. The leader is extremely strong, with tusks about 10 centimeters long and extremely thick hair. The preliminary estimate is 500 to 600 pounds. This is a big boar. In addition, there are 5 smaller wild boars, and the rest are small piglets. These wild boars are leisurely strolling in the ditch of the stream, cooing and sparking many splashes of water. At the moment Su Hao saw the wild boar herd, he did not immediately attack and began to observe the surrounding environment. Hunting is not a simple activity of shooting at prey with a bow and arrow. If you do this, you may hunt the prey, but you may also put yourself in an extremely disadvantageous position. Wild boars have rough skin and thick flesh. If they are not killed in an instant, they will have to face the wild boar's counterattack. Being hit by a 500 to 600 pound boar is no less than a hard collision with a speeding sedan. After observing for a moment and determining the terrain around him, Su Hao carefully approached the position of the lower entrance. Su Hao stood on a boulder not far from the wild boar herd in the mountain stream, and then he took out his deer tendon bow. The arrow is strung up. Su Hao's unprecedented focus. The archery of the perfect realm made him only see the big boar bowing its head to eat grass. Whoosh! Next second, Su Hao released the full moon deer tendon bow. In an instant, the arrow cut through a perfect trajectory and hit the heart of the wild boar straight. Zhaoshuyuan.com Pushi. Ow! The big boar let out a painful scream, wanting to swing its limbs and run away. But in an instant, the big boar fell to the ground, trembling on all fours. Kill with one blow. This is the power of strong and perfect archery. Ahem. The wild boars around were suddenly startled, and Yazi fled recklessly. Su Hao had long anticipated this scene, and as soon as he shot the arrow, he would bow from left to right. His strong body is enough to support him to shoot arrows quickly, and Su Hao is not 1 bow and 1 arrow, but 1 bow and 3 arrows. The archery of the perfect realm is so domineering. If it weren't for Su Hao's insufficient arrows, coupled with the insufficient width, thickness, and length of the deer tendon bow, he could shoot 10 arrows at once, and the arrows would hit. Pushi, pushi. A few arrows fell and 3 plump wild boars fell down. The remaining wild boars panicked and fled, quickly crossing the mountain stream and rushing into the surrounding mountains and forests. Su Hao's gaze fell on the remaining 2 fleeing wild boars, and after determining their direction of escape, he did not immediately pursue them. Because right now, he has to reap the spoils of war. Su Hao approached cautiously and then approached the nearest wild boar, where he arched and shot. The arrow penetrated into the body of the wild boar. The wild boar did not move. After Su Hao confirmed this, he quickly approached, took the arrow, and then sent it into the 9th floor tower. Whoosh! Su Hao processed it like the law, shot the remaining wild boars, and then collected them into the Dadao tower. After cleaning the battlefield, Su Hao did not hesitate at all and chased towards the direction where the remaining wild boars had fled. Come out once, if you want to make a profit, you have to make a pot full of overflowing.